Hello, and welcome back to Living in My Mind. We have another fun episode. Everything we do here is sincere and straight to the point, and always hope that people can gain something from this, or if you can help us learn more, please do. We have the phone number. You can text us, call us. And today we're going to have one of our sessions where Mark, my producer, is going to throw something at me, and I'm going to give my opinion. And we'll see where it goes and see if it's helpful. What do we got for today, Mark?
All right, so today we have some situations.
Okay.
And these are just some different scenarios to see how you would recommend going about them.
Let's do it.
Yeah, all doing with relationships, different kinds of relationships, friendships, working relationships, all of that.
All right.
So this first one is mixed friendships at work. I have a close friend who recently became my supervisor at work. I'm finding it difficult to adjust to the new power dynamic, especially when they have to give me critical feedback. How should I navigate this change in our relationship without harming our friendship or professional respect?
I've been in that situation before, and it makes you nervous when you become friends with somebody. First of all, you have to understand there's a difference between a friendship and a working friendship. If you're working for somebody, there's usually job titles. There's usually job descriptions. If you're doing your job and you're doing it the right way, and if there's a problem and you ask for help, that's the best kind of employee or best kind of person you want to work with. Now, if you get behind and you're not doing it, or you make excuses, or you try to cover things up, when they give you a critique, it's going to be uncomfortable. Remember, they have a job to do. You have a job to do. A title doesn't make them better than you, doesn't make them smarter than you. It means they've probably earned it, or maybe they have that title based upon their degree. Maybe a degree is what needed to be. I would say the best thing to do is do your job to the best of your ability. If you need help, ask for it. Many people will respect you more if you ask for help rather than pretend that you know everything. So that relationship, it's a wonderful relationship because if you build a personal one, then you have more to talk about, things in common. But I also would guarantee you this. When you're done with work, let work be what it is. If you're a friendship, you're going to spend time with each other outside. Talk about things that are fun. Talk about things, hey, it's the wrong one to have that on there. We're going to blurt that guy's name. But, the reality is you are in control of that relationship, whether you believe it or not. And because someone has a title, never let them disrespect for you, mistreat you, or treat you less than. Because without them doing their job and you doing your job, whatever your industry is or whatever your job is, it's not going to get done right. That's just my personal opinion.
Yes. All right. Second one here is handling jealousy in a relationship. My partner has a lot of close friends from the opposite sex, and I find myself feeling jealous sometimes, even though I trust them. What are some healthy ways to discuss my feelings without coming across accusatory or controlling?
It's an interesting question because it depends on male, female. It really doesn't. Many people think on the internet, you see all these quotes by guys talking about if your girlfriend has a lot of guys, has a lot of friends, and she's not the one for you. If she's going to talk with other guys, she's not the one for you. I think it all has to do with how you feel about yourself and how much you've invested in this person. Is this person really someone you want to spend your life with? Is it someone who's temporary? Look, many of us know when we're in a relationship what the boundaries are or what might be the reality of how long that might last. Is it someone that's a stopgap relationship? Many people know what that is. Many people do it. They got friends with benefits because they want to have it that way. Nothing wrong with it. But if you have jealousy, talk to that person. If something that person is doing is making you jealous, a good chance it's a residual from a relationship in the past or a behavior in the past. And also, you could be reflecting and putting yourself in a mirror, and you could be thinking, if you've done that in the past, someone's going to do it to you. Communication is the only thing. Be open, be honest, don't be accusatory. It doesn't mean anything because I know I've heard many people say, well, you accuse me, I might as well do it. That's not a solution either. Talk about it. I know it sounds so simple. It's not, because many people are vulnerable. Many people don't want people to know that they're vulnerable. Many people don't want people to think that they're insecure. We're all insecure. Anybody that tells me they're not, we all are to a different degree. But if you don't communicate and talk about it, it's only going to get worse. And then you're going to find something and you're going to convince yourself that that person is doing something that you, in your mind state, is happening, whether it's cheating emotionally, physically, or what have you. If you don't communicate, it's a free-for-all. And communication is the only way you're going to talk. But here's another point. If you're open and honest with that person and you tell them your feelings and they don't make any changes or try to make changes, try to make you feel comfortable, if they have friends of the opposite sex, but they've never introduced you and they won't introduce you, that red flag tells you all about it. So pay close attention to things and slow down your mind and communicate.
They're cheating. No.
True.
No. Third one, workplace exclusion. I've noticed that I am not being invited to informal gatherings by my colleagues, which are often followed by important work discussions. It's affecting my ability to contribute to projects. How can I address this feeling of exclusion with my colleagues and manager?
Well, there's a reason. I would, and I've had this happen before, I'd go talk to the person who's putting this little get-together together, and I'd find out, number one, is there a reason why? Many times people want to work with you. Many times they might not like you. There's people I work with, I literally don't like them. It's not that I don't like them as a person. Their life isn't my life. I don't need to be in their life. They don't need to be in mine away from the work. There are many people I would love to. So it's a tough situation. But if you feel that someone is excluding you and they're talking about work and things are happening at work that you're not part of and it's going to affect your job, then what they're doing is they're sabotaging you. So the best thing to do, many of these things are going to be simple. It's communication. Talk to them, find out why. There's something that maybe they have different hobbies and things they like. Maybe you don't. Maybe they're introverted as a group and you're extroverted. Maybe you're just loud and obnoxious. Maybe what they're doing is something that's not part of your job. But if you're telling me, just like you are, that it is part of your job, they're talking about things, always want to make them think and know that you want to do the best job you can. If you're being excluded, then you're not able to do the job that they brought you on for, and you need to find a solution. Talk to them, find a solution.
All right, number 4, reconnecting with an old friend. An old friend with whom I had a falling out years ago recently reached out to reconnect. I'm unsure about reopening this chapter because of our past conflict. What steps should I take to ensure that if we reconnect, it is healthy for both of us?
Here's the way I would look at that. If you had conflict, I've had this conflict, I've shared it on the show a couple times with 2 friends. They're not in my life anymore, never will be in my life anymore. Sadly, if they pass away, I don't care. I don't want anybody that knows them to tell me. It's not going to affect me. They both have reached out since then. I've never reached back because many times that's a manipulation tool. They might be reaching out because they're lonely. They might be reaching out because the reality is what you offered them was something spectacular and they took advantage. I would never in my life go back to where I knew something was not healthy. We've all done it many times. My advice is just move forward. You don't owe the person a text, an email, a phone call. If there's been silence for a long time, you walked away, there was a reason. Remember, this is what I truly, we don't walk away from people to teach them a lesson. We walk away because the lesson's been learned. Think about it. You've already learned a lesson. Do you want to open up a chapter and have it happen again? Don't go backwards. People do this in relationships, not just at work. They do them in relationships because they were comfortable. It was fun. There's always a reason why people get a divorce. There's a reason why people lose relationships, why we lose jobs. Think about it. I would recommend that you just keep moving forward. That's that person's issue, not yours. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to be desired. There's nothing wrong with wanting people to like us. There's nothing wrong. But if you're lonely, that's going to set you backwards because if you open up that can of worms, believe me, it's only going to get worse.
Number 5, we have cultural differences in a relationship. My partner and I come from very different cultural backgrounds. Sometimes these differences lead to misunderstandings and conflicts. How can we better understand and respect each other's cultural perspectives?
It's a tough one, but one that's definitely doable. If you know you're going to be involved with someone with a different culture, different religion, different ethnic group, whatever it is, and you know that there's things different about them growing up, things different about their family, different about their religion, different about their belief, you have to talk. The big key here today is communication. Don't get upset at somebody because they have a different way of looking at something. It's been ingrained in them for a long time. It's how they believe. Talk to them, share, find out their point of view, why they do it. And if that person doesn't want to tell you, then that's a red flag. If you both don't share what's bothering you, or if you don't come to a compromise, it's like people who marry different religions. They come to compromises at times. Well, if you're going to get married, and you're going to have kids, but one of them wants them to go to one type of religious school, one another, that should have been taken care of years ago, before you even got married. Cultural backgrounds, it's a beautiful thing. You can learn, you can hear things, you can see things, you can go and meet that person's family, and learn the history of whatever it is. Always be inquisitive, always want to learn more. Because when you think you've learned enough, you haven't learned anything. There's always something to learn. So communicate, be open and honest. That's the most important. But again, if that person negates you, that person doesn't want to answer, there's your answer. You can't get anything else. That's just my personal opinion.
That's right. All right, number 6. Managing gossip at work. There's a lot of gossip going on in my workplace, and it's creating a toxic environment. I've been dragged into it a few times. What are some strategies to professionally distance myself from workplace gossip while maintaining good relationships with my coworkers?
Gossip starts at the top, goes all the way to the bottom, whatever you want to look at that, however you want. Owners talk about people, middle management, upper management, doesn't matter what you are, people gossip. Now think about that. What is gossip? Gossip is something that gets people involved. You know, it's like, look at all these gossip columnists for entertainment. It makes people want to live in somebody else's life, live in somebody else's story, maybe because their life is boring. Usually when there's a lot of gossip, there's some truth to it maybe, but also it's because people are bored. They create something that's not there. Gossip at the office is detrimental to everybody, not only to the people they're gossiping about, but also to the people who are gossiping, because first of all, who's going to trust you? Who's going to respect you? If I know you're gossiping about other people, I know you're going to say something about me. When I hear people talk about something or someone, the first thing I say to them nowadays is, okay, have you shared that point of view with the person? No. Okay, well, here's my boundary. I'm not interested in hearing your negative comments about that person unless you bring them in front of us and we all have a conversation. I don't want to get drawn into your problem, your negativity, because people it's fuel. Gossip is fuel for many people. They feed off of that. There's that old expression, standing around the water cooler. Okay, many people, you talk about each other at the water cooler. Did you hear about this? Did you hear about that? Oh my God, she didn't do this. He didn't do this. Look, if that's what gets you going, then enjoy it. But you think about it. Those people you gossip with, what do they bring into your life? The same thing that gossip is all about, negativity. They're not people you can trust. They're not people who are going to trust you. And at some point, they're going to start gossiping about you. And gossip also creates kind of like a tier of people in the business or families and relationships, to where you have a group of people over here that have this attitude, people over here who have another attitude. The people over here think that they know everything, so they're going to talk bad about the other people. Confront someone. If someone's saying something about you, just walk up and say, look, I understand there's a problem. Can we fix this? Or what is the solution? What is the problem? Many people, when you confront them about gossiping, they'll stop at that moment. As long as you continue to confront people, sooner or later it's going to stop. It's up to you to help diffuse that and make it better for yourself. Don't just wait around.
Number 7, supporting a grieving friend. A close friend recently lost a loved one and is going through a tough time. I want to support them, but am unsure how to approach them without overstepping boundaries. What are the best ways to offer support?
It's interesting. When my mom died, people tried to offer support, but many people did not know what to say, and they said things that were foolish, idiotic, and what have you. And I took it that way because of my anger issues. But the reality is, the best thing to do, and this is what I've learned, I have some people in my life right now that suffer some tragedies, pardon me. English is my first language in some countries. And so what I've done is I just send them a text or make a phone call and say, look, I love you. I'm here for you. If you need me, let me know. I don't get intrusive. I don't do it constantly. If they respond, then I let them know periodically, you're in my thoughts and prayers. If you need me, I'm here. Now, one thing I know that people get upset is when somebody's going through something, if there's a group of friends, why did you go to that friend and not to me? Years ago, I was involved in a relationship and the young lady got hit by a car. And so I went to the hospital. And we hadn't been seeing each other for quite a while. And I asked her, why'd you call me? She goes, because you're the one who would show up. Well, a friend of hers called her, and the friend on the phone was upset that she didn't call her first. And it was interesting because this girl created an argument, and this young lady was in the hospital. She was hurt. People's egos get in the way. So, make sure that what you're doing is respecting that person's grieving. You don't need to be their center of their attention. You need to be a support system. You need to love them, send all the kindness you can, but it's not about you. It's about them. And if you make it about you, you're going to destroy a friendship. And also it's going to let you know that you're going to be one lonely human being for the rest of your life.
Number 8, another conflict with a coworker. A coworker and I have conflicting working styles that lead to frequent disagreements. It's starting to impact our productivity and the atmosphere of our team. How can we work together more effectively despite our differences?
Okay, you have two different styles of work. Now, if it's the same job, two different styles, if you reach the solution but two different ways, then there's not a problem. If it's your ego getting in the way that you each want each other to be the person to follow what the other person has to say, that's understandable. It's like if you're going to college, or if you're going to school or grade school, or mom and dad, there has to be a mediator. If you got a problem in school, you go to a counselor. You got a problem at work, go to a supervisor. If you're not going to be able to fix this conflict, then sit down and find out what the true conflict is. It might not just be the work that you're doing, because one thing I learned a long time ago, the work I do right now, I'm extremely unconventional than the other people. The way I do it, the way I record it, the things I say, but it works. I have people who tell me you can't do it that way. Well, you do it your way, I do it my way, and that's fine. But the reality is many people are straight down the line. This is the only way. Well, this world would never be anything. Life would never be anything if you just did it one way, straight down the middle. No. And think about it. In life, we have what? How many countries? Different languages, different foods, different tastes. So many different ways for us to enjoy ourselves, for us to love ourselves or love somebody else. There's so many reasons people love each other, fall in love. It could be the way their eyes are. It could be the way that they bring joy into someone's life. It could be the way they treat someone. It could be their smile that attracts us. If it was just one thing, it'd be a boring-ass life. So at work, when something like that happens, don't sit there and compete with the other person. Go to someone who can help mediate and find an answer. Because at some point, both of you individuals might lose your job because neither one of you thought about the company. You only thought about yourselves.
All right, we have 2 more.
Adios.
Number 9. All right. Balancing friendship and personal space. One of my friends is very dependent on me for emotional support, and it's becoming overwhelming. I value our friendship, but also need to set boundaries for my own well-being. How can I communicate this without hurting their feelings?
The big word you used in there was becoming. I'm pretty sure that it started out that way in the beginning. There's 2 different people here, 2 different scenarios I would look at. If you're the type of person that's a caretaker, if you have abandonment issues, if you need to make sure that you're a part of somebody's life because you don't want to be left out, that's one way of looking at it. If the person is crossing boundaries and they don't know it, then how are they knowing their boundaries? Have a healthy conversation. Let them know that I'm here for this. We'll have conversations. I have people in my life and I know them and they know me. And I say, look, we got 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, most people are going to repeat the same thing in a different way. But again, if you're someone who puts yourself out there and tells someone I'll be there for you, but you don't set the boundaries in the beginning, then why should they? Many people don't even know that they're crossing a boundary. Now, I'm not condoning what someone else does, but think about it. We're all part of, if there's a problem, part of the problem, so we have to find a solution. Communicate with the person what your boundaries are. Let them know. If you've set your boundaries and they keep crossing, then you have to make the decision, do I want this person in my life at all? Because many people, if you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. Because many times those of us, myself included in the past, who want to have someone listen, want to have someone there for us, they don't take you into consideration because they don't know any better. That's no excuse. It's just a reality. Set a boundary and communicate. Again, communication is the key. If you choose not to, you have no right to complain at all. And
all right, number 10. This is a good one. I like this one. All right. Differing commitment levels in a relationship. Happens all the time. I feel ready to move in and plan a future together, but my partner seems hesitant and prefers to keep things as they are. How can I bring up my needs for advancing our relationship without putting too much pressure on them?
First of all, anybody who ever tells you that a partnership is equal, whether it's marriage or relationship, whatever, they're a liar. There's no such thing as 50-50. Never has been that way, never will be that way. You might want to say that it is, and that sounds good, but there's always one giving more. But here's the thing. One might give more in the emotional aspect. One might give more in the physical aspect. One might give more in the workplace. One might give more in taking care of the home. It's all about a balance. It's all upon what you agree on. Now, if you've had conversations with someone and you want to take the relationship further and the person agrees, but the person keeps putting it off, there's got to be a reason. One of the things you can do is go to some type of therapy. Talk about it with someone who can help you understand each other more. Maybe that person has commitment issues. Maybe that person's afraid of intimacy. Maybe that person's afraid of abandonment issues. So they're going to tell you what you need, because many of us in our lives at some point, we've told someone what they need to hear to not have to deal with it. I was the greatest at that. Well, I know what you need. Boom, give it to you emotionally. But I could never be there. That was me personally. I'd communicate. I'd find someone that can help you understand. But the biggest red flag is if someone agrees to something and they continuously put it off. It's painful. It's hurtful. You're not going to get the answer there's a difference between what you want and what you need. What you want is the answer that someone's going to say, I love you, I'm going to do this. What you need is the truth. But if that person's stalling, the only person you need to get the truth from is yourself. Is this what you want? Do you want to continue? Because you might love them. They might fit every category, 99.9%. The 1% that they don't hit, that's the one that's going to cause all the problems. So if you can't communicate, if someone is not following through, think about it. If that's the way they're doing it now, what's going to happen 10 years from now? The same thing over and over? There's great things in repetition, but not dysfunctional repetition. Thank you very much. Those are some simple opinions I have based on my own experience. And I thank you for listening to this episode. We have the number under here. This is Living in My Mind. I'm Dennis Henning, the host. If there's anything I can do to help you or your loved ones or anyone, just ask. Let us learn from you, because hopefully you're learning something from us. Thank you very much. Have a beautiful day.